Welcome to the campfire.
I'm Tony.
I'm Peggy.
And we're two RV industry veterans who travel part-time
in this small trailer,
looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
tricks,
and discounts.
We are on the move again.
Yep, we are at the Springfield KOA.
We are today. By the time you hear this, we will be in Blue Springs visiting my cousin, Julie. And
there we go.
Her family. So we're just on the move. We were for 4 days. We were in Arkansas at Hot Springs at a campground with Camp Carpe Diem, which we will link our interview with them. And also this week I've been writing kind of a daily recap of what's been going on at Camp Carpe Diem.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't know how they found all these people, but there were, I don't know what, 30 people or whatever the number was. And what an incredibly great group of people.
Fantastic
We
group
had
of people.
such a good time. And they had planned this so well. There were outdoor activities. There was photography lessons. There were brewery trips, distillery trips. Beer sharing. We found, we didn't find them. They had this couple performing, and they were just incredible.
The Status Crows, check them out. They are fantastic.
Yeah.
They not only sound really terrific, but they had the best selection of music.
Yeah, it was nice because there was such a variety of music, and it was just well performed, and they're so joyful.
Yeah.
It was just a pleasure to spend time with them and then to hear them perform. They're just great. So if you have an opportunity to listen to them, the Status Crows, don't miss it. Yeah, don't miss it.
Yeah.
They're really fantastic.
So we will be staying at my cousin's for a couple of days.
Yes, we will.
And so we will not have a hookup.
We got no hookups.
No hookup. Yeah, no. Now, normally that's like not a problem. We have a whole bunch of power, right? But it is hot and humid in Missouri, so hopefully this system will keep up. I think it will. I think we'll be fine because we have 1,000 watts of solar up there soaking up all the sun and a 460 amp hour battery. Right? 400 amp hour battery. We did not get the 460.
Right.
but it's all from our friends at ABC Upfitters.
Well, Peggy worries about can we pull it off? And I'm like, are you kidding? This system is fantastic. It has performed well. It just works very, very well. It's reliable. It's been a great system. And then we saw someone who had a very similar trailer this week, and ABC Upfitters added a second. So the way our system is, it's a single 400 amp hour battery. It's a big battery. And they added, now they're doing 460s, and they added a second one. They had 920 amp hours of battery.
Yeah.
And I was so jealous.
I'm normally not worried. At all, except in this humidity. We have had the air conditioner on 24/7 since we left.
Yeah,
so that is my concern is, yes, we can get 4 or 5 hours of air conditioning, but can we get 24 hours of air conditioning?
No, the truth is we can't, so we just mitigate it. And I mean, it's, the solution is you call ABC Upfitters and you just add more battery or more solar or more. There is a chance of a more efficient air conditioner. More about that coming in the future.
Hopefully so.
And that's the big thing. I mean, here I go on a tangent, is how inefficient RV air conditioners are compared to home units. But anyway, if you want your questions answered, you want a great system that just works and is reliable and professionally installed, call our friends at ABC Upfitters. They're at 574-333-3225, 574-333-3225, and they will answer your questions honestly and clearly, and they do exceptional job of putting these systems in, and they're just good people. So that's why we're really honored that they partner with us, and it's something that we truly believe works very well and that we use ourselves. So there you go.
All right. So that's good for our battery in our trailer. But we've been hearing a few of our friends actually with some car trouble, some vehicle problems. And so what we thought we might talk about is ways to make sure that your vehicle and your rig is travel ready.
All right, now that the train has passed.
That's right. So we want to talk mostly about what we know, the tow vehicle, right? But also if you're driving a motorized RV, then a lot of these things are going to relate to you as well. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the things to keep an eye on your towable if that's what you have.
Yeah.
We'll try not to just talk like as if there's a pickup and towable in everybody's life, but that's what we know the best. So
right.
That's
and the first thing with that is no matter what you are traveling with, really it's so important to know the weights and capacities. So for example, a lot of people with travel trailers, the dealers will say, oh yeah, your truck can pull so much.
Yeah.
And we have a whole podcast about towing with, whatever. And so the first thing to do is to understand the weights and capacities of your RV and of your tow vehicle. However you are traveling, know your weights. We went on a rig tour, and I looked in the door jamb of a Class C over the weekend, and I know it was way overloaded.
Yeah.
And those kind of things cause pieces to wear out more quickly and break.
And that rig was not towing, right? That was just such a low capacity for stuff.
Yeah, it was.
They obviously had too much stuff.
Yeah, it's there was, it was just in some of these Class C's, especially the Sprinter-based ones, there's very little cargo carrying capacity remaining. So know what your numbers are and know what your rig weighs. And you can get it weighed at like a CAT scale, or if you go to an Escapees rally or an FMCA rally, they have a weigh person there. And, please know how much your rig weighs and how close you are to capacity, because that can cause breakdowns if you are overweight, just like the doctor tells me.
Same as on your body.
Yeah, funny. So the next thing is know what fuel you need.
Right.
I've seen a lot of people. So if you're buying gasoline, octane, you see the numbers there on the pump. Octane is simply a measure of how resistant the fuel is to exploding. And,
that's important.
Well, but it takes a certain, an explosion has to happen, essentially. It's a contained explosion.
Sure.
For the engine to run.
Right.
So a lot of people think, I'm going to do my vehicle a favor and put in premium. And you may be just wasting money. A lot of times it just doesn't make a difference. So look at the vehicle's owner's manual and see what fuel it recommends, and also if there's a difference when it's loaded or towing. So don't overbuy gas, but don't underbuy, or fuel, I should say. Diesel is diesel,
there's only
right?
one kind of diesel, right? Well, essentially, there's only one.
Yeah, there's
kind.
basically number 2 diesel. But gasoline, there's several grades, and you can buy ethanol, you can buy some biodiesel, things like that, but for the most part, gas, don't buy more than a higher grade than you really have to. Because
you're just throwing your money away.
You're literally just... Okay. One of the things, though, you can get or can prefer top tier, which is it's an industry designation, and it just has more detergents and other things to keep the engine running well. So there you go.
Okay. So the next thing is to just kind of keep an eye on your gauges, right? While you're driving, there's all those dials or numbers or whatever, and it's your temperature and your, well, I don't even know what.
Right. So,
I mean, obviously, I know there's a lot. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I know that, like in, not our vehicle because it's got all that electronics, but a lot of vehicles, if they just have a gauge, the gauge will be like, this is the green zone and this is the red zone.
well, that's the thing.
And if you get anything in that red zone, that's not a good thing.
Right, but set a benchmark. If you know when you're driving that the vehicle tends to run at this temperature, like our truck will show not only the engine temperature, but the oil temperature, transmission temperature, all that stuff. So I have a baseline of how it's working normally, and I do keep an eye on it. And if I see one of those numbers starting to rise, then I know, something's not right here.
Right.
And so it's better to catch it as the problem is developing than to wait for you to get the red light, which indicates a failure. And failure and expensive are the same term.
Yeek.
So if your car has any indicators of how the engine is performing, some cars it's just a fuel gauge and a speedometer,
because they're so computerized, they don't want you to know what's happening.
well, it's not
They're
that
like, well, look, we got this.
no, but usually on trucks, and this is why I prefer pickup trucks for towing, they usually have an ability to know what's going on, and it's good to have a benchmark and keep an eye on those things, especially if you're getting to more extreme conditions like hills, heat, that sort of stuff. Know the base, the benchmarks, and then if it starts to get outside the norms, then it's better to stop it before it goes too far.
Figure out what's going on, yeah. And by the same token, tires, we have tire pressure monitoring system built into our Ram and tire pressure monitoring system built into our tires in our travel trailer.
Yeah.
So we have a baseline and a monitor that will flash and scream and freak out if one or more of the tires isn't the right temperature or the right air. I can't think of the word.
Yeah.
Right inflation. The right inflation or temperature that you're supposed to be.
Well, again, if you have these tire pressure monitors and you look at the tires whenever you stop, like let's say you stop for fuel or snacks or whatever it happens to be, we always walk around the entire rig and check all the connections, look at the tires, see if anything's coming loose. I had to put there's a plastic fender skirt on our trailer, and I had to put a bolt to hold that on recently, because you just be aware of this stuff and catch it before it becomes a problem. And that's why I can't be more emphatic about recommending a tire pressure monitoring system, because it doesn't just say, hey, you popped a tire. It will warn you if a tire is hot or if a tire is starting to have lower air pressure. And a hot tire could be low air pressure. It could be a wheel bearing that's failing. So it's better to know that these systems are failing before they do fail.
Right.
And then if you have a towable RV, know how to change the tire. And you might say, oh, yeah, I know, I have a jack in my truck. Some travel trailers, you have to jack very specifically. For example, we have torsion axles on ours.
Right.
And
you
don't jack them by the axle.
Or you'll jack the axles.
Yeah, you'll jack the axle. So know how to jack the trailer, and how, if you have the right lug nut, the right wrench, and we have the Air Gear tire changing kit, which has a torque wrench, because the aluminum wheels on travel trailers, it's good to check those now and then, the lug nuts, because they do wiggle loose, which
Right.
is really weird, but it's a fact.
So you need to know what torque is supposed to be, how tight they're supposed to be, and then just not every stop, not every day, not every week maybe, but maybe every trip, long trip, maybe, after a road trip or before a road trip or something.
Yeah, I check the torque on the lug nuts before a big trip. I check the air pressure before I leave, and then we look at the air pressure monitor or the tire pressure monitor to make sure that that isn't suddenly changing.
Right.
And the next thing is just fluids in general. I'm gonna combine those. We have notes.
We have notes, and he's going all out of order. I'm like,
well,
okay.
because these are all
no, it's okay
one...
because you're going in the flow that makes sense. I was just taking notes as we thought of things.
So with I'm going to go back to trucks again, but even any vehicle has transmission fluid, radiator. Well, not every vehicle. If you have a Tesla Cybertruck, it does not have transmission fluid.
If you have a Volkswagen Bug,
it doesn't have a radiator.
You're probably not towing, though.
No, I hope not.
I've only known one person that used a Volkswagen Bug as an RV.
Oh, gosh.
I really did.
Man, takes all kinds. But anyway, so knowing making sure, and this will be in your manual, how frequently to change the radiator fluid and the differential fluid and the transmission fluid and all of these vital fluids. Of course, the oil, coolant, even washer fluid, brake fluid. Yeah. Some vehicles you have to, all vehicles there's an interval for changing the brake fluid, but these vital fluids, if you don't maintain them, that's an easy point of failure, and there you are stuck on the side of the road, and you might have a radiator that's overflowed, or you may have a differential that's begun to fail because it's run dry, or transmissions. Especially some of these transmissions are so complicated now, and so they'll have an interval for how frequently to change it. And one of the things again, I'm going to go back to the truck thing. They have a normal service and a severe service. And sometimes the severe service, it says like an ambulance. Well, you could use that severe service interval for towing too, because that is severe service. You're working your truck.
So it's not the service is severe, it's the service on a severely used vehicle.
Right. It's the circumstances that you're putting it through are severe.
Gotcha.
So, and then this is something that just got a friend of ours. One of their, we used to all call them fan belt, but now they're usually serpentine belts. The belt began to fail and stuff just doesn't work well. If the belt completely fails, stuff won't work at all.
Doesn't work at all. Right.
So check your belts, and belts typically, first of all, do these things with the engine turned off, but check the underside. Don't be
sticking your hand in there when things are moving around. Oh gosh,
please don't. And again, in some vehicles, there's an electric fan that can come on. So know if that's the case. So don't be sticking your hand in there when that fan comes on, because that'll be a very sad day. But check the underside of the belts to make sure, because that's usually where they start to wear. Okay. So, and the hoses, give them a wee squeeze, because hoses wear out from the inside out.
Oh. So they don't look worn out.
Right. They may look great, and they're completely rotten on the inside.
But if you squeeze them, you can feel like the kind of crunchy or something.
Yeah,
right?
it's not supposed to feel...
Or it's going to be too flexible.
Yeah, it's supposed to feel pliable and like soft rubber, basically. Now, know that typically the upper radiator hose has a spring in it because it's sucking and you don't want it to compress. But if it does compress and it's not supposed to, then that spring has rotted.
Right. Okay.
So, So all of the fluids, just keep an eye on them, and that goes for the battery too.
Yeah.
All batteries have a date code when you put them in, and batteries last 2 to 5 years, 5 if you're really lucky. If your battery, it should be clean. There shouldn't be a bunch of
like
buildup,
corrosion
and such. Yeah, on the outside. So make sure the battery is clean. That make sure that it's attached solidly, because sometimes those connectors wear loose. If you can, and in many cases you can, check the water in the battery. First of all, do so with eye protection, and pop the lids off. And there's usually a way to, like, a place where the water should go up to, and it's usually at the bottom of the plastic that you'll see when you open the cap, and that's distilled water only.
Right. And you do that with your car battery, and you also do that if you have still a flooded battery and not a lithium battery in your RV.
Yeah, if you haven't gone to see ABC Upfitters yet and you're still using an old-fashioned flooded battery, as they call it, then do check that frequently too.
So how far are we away from vehicles having lithium batteries?
Here's something that blows my mind. So electric vehicles still use a 12-volt flooded battery for, like, keeping the computer running and all. That's
What?
just, I know. I don't.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Good to know.
Our friend Brian just had, remember he has
right,
the Chevy
that's right.
Bolt.
Yeah.
And he got stuck because the regular battery, the 12-volt battery, failed.
Not the engine battery, just the,
Right.
like we talk about, the systems in your RV. Even though you have a refrigerator maybe that runs on propane and electricity, there's still a 12-volt system in there that tells that tells the refrigerator it needs to run on one of those powers.
Yeah.
So
I guess the whole world runs on a 12-volt flooded battery.
Eventually, it all goes back to that 12-volt flooded battery.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I know. What are you gonna do? The last thing I think we have is, we all have roadside assistance, or I think most of us have, and make sure you know how to contact them, because some prefer an app, and that I like that because it has your GPS coordinates in it. So if you put help on your app, it knows where you are, or at least some of them do. Some want a phone call. Some, have in your address book on your phone, on your smartphone, the number for your roadside assistance and your membership number, because just know how to contact them. And also now might be a great time to evaluate the policy that you have, and make sure that, let's say you are towing a travel trailer, make sure that the roadside assistance not only will cover your tow vehicle,
yes,
but also the towed vehicle.
Yes.
That
can be a huge problem. We had a friend had a travel trailer stolen off the side of the highway because when the roadside assistance came, they only took the tow vehicle and they wouldn't take the trailer.
No, and
they just left the trailer on the side of the road.
Yeah, and then
and we've had someone
it.
else who lived in their travel trailer on the side of the road. I think it was a fifth wheel.
Oh, yeah.
For 3 days, waiting for someone to bring their truck back.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
so know that you have the right assistance and know how to get in touch with them. And if it's a card, if you need to carry a card, make sure you know where that card is. Like, we are finally really getting pretty good at having all those cards in one place, and then remembering that we have those cards all in one place. Because a year ago, when we had that dead battery, we were like, who should we call? How should we find the number?
Yeah.
We don't know our member number. And then, like, the next day, I'm like, well, remember we have this wallet. And all these cards and their numbers are in it. But we forgot we had the wallet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not something you think about
right.
until,
you don't think of it very
the fan
often.
stops spinning.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, nuts. I I need to know how to contact our roadside assistance. So.
Yep.
Anyway, that and again, know how to change the tires in your vehicle, because sometimes it could be hours before. All roadside assistance is contracted service. In other words, AAA or FMCA or Escapees or whatever roadside assistance you have, Good Sam, they don't own a bunch of tow trucks.
Right.
They contract with local tow truck providers.
Like I said last week, someone from FMCA is not going to go get in the tow truck and come and find you.
Right.
You're going to call FMCA or whoever, and they're going to call the local provider. Mm-hmm. And if that person is busy, if you're in an area where there's only one tow truck in the whole 50-mile radius.
Or all of a sudden there's been a major
big accident
and all the tow trucks are busy hauling away stuff.
Yeah.
So if you know how to change your tires safely, that
might
could
keep
be a
you
plus.
from sitting on the side of the road for
hours and hours, or even over a day. So.
Yeah. Now, I did have one other tip, and it's kind of it's not really like preventative things so much, but in a way it is. But when you are leaving, especially a campsite, but any time that you've stopped, if you've stopped for fuel, if you've stopped for a rest area, whatever, went grocery shopping, anytime that you have stopped, first of all, walk around and look and make sure everything's hooked up and ready to go. Which, if you're getting ready to leave camp, hopefully you've followed your checklist and it's all plugged in.
And we have a link to our checklist.
Checklist, yes. But then, as you're getting behind the wheel and pulling away from wherever you're parked, have your windows down, have your radio off, listen. Listen for things. Tony literally ran across a campground because a Class A was towing their car.
It was a Jeep.
And
it was in park.
It was in park. So it was just skidding all four tires of the Jeep along the surface, along the ground, because they weren't listening.
No.
They didn't bother to look in their mirrors and see Tony running like a maniac, waving his arms at him.
They had their windows all closed. I would imagine they had the radio on. I mean, listen for clunks and clanks and screeches and other people yelling at you.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for a few minutes, and then you can go back to listening to the StressLess Camping RV podcast.
That's it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you're listening to, don't do it for the first couple seconds.
Yeah, at least drive out of the campground with the windows open and listening to the rig, and just, it's good to, again, have a baseline of how does this thing sound, and if it sounds funny, it's not trying to make a joke. It means something could be wrong.
Yeah.
So. And
if you've never listened to it before and you don't know it sounds funny, maybe you think that skid sound is supposed to be happening on your tow vehicle.
Is it going? Oh my! So, well, that's our tips for staying out of trouble on the road. Hopefully, and if you can always weigh in if you have other tips. Please join us over at the StressLess Camping Facebook group. It's StressLess Campers. And that's our official Facebook group. And your tips are always so welcome and so encouraged. And it's a fun group. So even if you're not a big fan of Facebook, it's a good reason to be there.
And if you don't have a tip, but you have some great camping pictures or, pictures of your pets, whatever.
Yeah.
It's there for fun. It's there to share and either get help with RVing or camping or show off that you're doing it.
Yep.
Whatever the case may be.
Or if you're a dreamer, we're there to answer questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, come on by. The coffee's hot and the campfire's warm. And the beer is cold.
So we said that we are on the road. We're in Springfield tonight, and on the way north.
We're looking for Homer Simpson.
Yeah, on the way north from Arkansas today, fortunately only about 20 miles back, we saw Lambert's Cafe, where it's the home of the throwed rolls.
Yeah.
And so we decided we weren't ready to eat just yet, so we went ahead and got to camp and set up, and then turned around and went back to Lambert's and had a great dinner and watched rolls being thrown all over the place.
the hook of this place is that they have these guys. Well, they have these team members coming with this cart, and it is full of freshly baked rolls. So they're nice and hot out of the oven, and they're known for their rolls. But then people see this cart out there, and everyone's like, yeah, me. And they will literally throw rolls across
the restaurant.
And they're these big, beautiful rolls, and it's just fun. Our waiter, we had the team there was really, really good. And our waiter said, hey, you want me to throw one from across the restaurant? Heck yeah.
So we had our video camera all set up. Yeah. So he did that. And so what he explained to us is everyone is a roll maker / thrower, like certain days of the week. Like they take their regular shift, they take the serving shift 5 times, and then 1 time every week they are the roll person, and they wait for them to rise, and they get them in the oven, they get them out of the oven, and then they go up and down the aisles with these carts of rolls that are piping hot, and throw them at you.
But yeah, it's so funny. Everyone's like, whoa, whoa. And then another neat thing about this place is, they have the menu with the normal meals on it,
right?
But then they have these people walking around with these side dishes, and there's like potatoes, okra, what was it? Tomatoes and macaroni.
Yeah, they have like 5 or 6 different. They call them pass-arounds. And I thought they were going to like serve it family style to every table. And I thought, well, we're not going to eat all that. But they don't. They come to your table like, would you like some fried okra? Would you like some potatoes? And they just keep walking and serving, you know. And so it's not wasteful. I thought they served all that stuff at our table with just 2 of us, some of it wouldn't have got eaten. But this was a really cool way to do it.
The funny thing is, we ate a couple of rolls because
because they kept throwing them at us.
Yeah, our food's there. We're already kind of full by the time it shows up, which it's pretty quick, and it's a good amount of food. So then I got meatloaf. I ate some of my dinner, then planned to put the rest away. And here comes those people with the pass-arounds. So my plate kept getting fuller.
He finished with a fuller plate than he started.
Yeah, I had to get like a little side bowl for I think I had black eyed peas, and it's just funny how, it was $18 for meatloaf, which you might go, that's a little pricey, but boy, when you see how much food and just the positive vibe in here and the entertainment value. It was, I'm so glad we happened to spot the place right around dinner time, because it was good and it was fun.
Yeah, and we've been wanting to go there ever since we knew that somebody would throw rolls at us.
Well, I heard about it from John and Kathy on Living in the RV Dream.
Yeah.
So that's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
Well, now that we're almost completely full from dinner,
right?
What are we making this week?
Well, this week I have a recipe that I'm sharing from Patty, and this came from our mini light / microlight rally that we were at Texas a few weeks ago. And Patty made a hot dish that was long grain and wild rice, and oh boy, I thought I knew. Oh, chicken, sausage, bulk sausage.
It was like Italian sausage.
Well, it was supposed to be sage sausage. It was supposed to be sage sausage, and we couldn't find it at the store. So
we couldn't find a sausage that was a sage.
We used Italian sausage, the wild rice, and then a can of mushrooms, a little can of mushrooms, and a can of mushroom soup. And you just mix it all together, and it's already all cooked, so you bake it, but you're baking it mostly just to kind of mesh everything together.
Well, and then Peggy baked it in the Omnia.
Right, so that's our gadget of the week. Is we have talked about the Omnia oven before, but I mixed all that stuff up, and I had pre-cooked the meats because we knew that we were going to have this recipe, so it was a lot easier to do in the camper. Put it in the Omnia oven, and put it on the stovetop and baked it until it was hot all the way through, and it made a lot because it was like 2 pounds. It started with like 2 pounds of meat, right? So it was a lot of food, and so it took us a few days to eat it all, but It was worth it. It was so good.
Yeah, it was. And we're going to play more with that Omnia oven. I think I
Yeah.
really like that thing.
Yeah.
So
I'll have Kathy's recipe posted by the time you hear this, and we will also have some pictures with using the Omnia oven. So that's my 2-for-1 this week, a recipe and a gadget.
Oh, man. Well,
So I'll let you take care of the RV of the week.
Well, the RV of the week is something we have talked to the folks from Sylvan Sport in the past, and the travel trailer that I had looked at, I've looked at this before, and I've seen some updates to it, and it's the Sylvan Sport Vast, and it's basically a cube, but it's so clever. I think the keynote feature of this is the kitchen. And when you're inside, there's a 2-burner stove and a sink and a 12-volt, like a cooler fridge, which makes sense. But then you open it and it slides down and out. So now your indoor kitchen is your outdoor kitchen.
It's like all on a kind of a drawer.
Yeah,
system.
like on a down sliding drawer type deal. So when you open the kitchen, that exposes the whole front of the trailer from the inside, and now you have a full-size shower. But it's not a wet bath, it's a proper shower.
Okay.
So there's 2 beds in this. There's an L-shaped lounge at the back, and that lounge can slide front to back. And if you slide it forward, there's a big hatchback on the back of this thing. You can put gear back there.
Okay.
Then there's also a full queen bed on a lift that normally sits at the ceiling, and then you could just bring it down.
Elevator bed thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Happy Jack.
Like they put in toy haulers
Right.
a lot. Yeah.
But so then there's that. So you have this L-shaped dinette, which can also become a queen bed. Then there's 2 giant windows in this thing that can completely open up for air. The front,
or serving snow cones.
yeah, I mean, right, exactly. You could use it to serve dinner out the window or whatever. Also on the front, there's a compartment that flips up for just, the stuff that we put in trailers. But then that compartment slides open, and that's where you find the propane tanks and the spare tire, which are protected normally. So there's so many. Oh, and there's racks outside, so you could hang a bike or kayaks, things like that, from the side of the trailer.
Yeah.
So there's so much ingenuity that goes into this thing. And we'll put a link to our interview with Tom Dempsey from Sylvan Sport. But this thing is just neat. I love seeing outside the box things, although this is shaped like a box.
So last week's question of the week, I asked you, and I told you you'd get bonus credit, and you all did. Thank you. Except the couple people that said they don't travel with pets. So our question was, what pets do you travel with? And we got like 60 answers. And most of them were pictures of dogs, which is the common, right? The most common. But a lot of you travel with cats.
Yeah.
And that was fun to see. And, especially as in the Ghostbusters said, dogs and cats living together. So some of you have dogs and cats.
Yeah.
And so thank you for sharing. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I want you to go in and look at those adorable pets.
And you can weigh in with your own pet
That's right.
pictures,
That's
especially
right.
if you have something. We have traveled with a desert tortoise.
We have traveled with a desert tortoise because we got evacuated from our home.
Yeah,
and so
he was.
It wasn't like we were just going on a road trip. And
Hey, let's take our turtle.
Took Pippin for a ride. And we have a friend who traveled with a bird for a long time. And so we know that not all pets are dogs.
Right.
And so thank you for sharing your pets, and please continue to do so because I sure love those pictures.
There was a lady who was traveled in a van with a snake.
Yes, that's right. You used to watch her on
I used to like her videos.
YouTube or something.
Yep.
So this week's question of the week is,
what memberships do you have? What of these various membership programs, RV clubs, service, roadside assistance, that kind of stuff, have you found that offers you value, and why? And you can answer that
at our fun and friendly StressLess Campers Facebook group.
Yep. And did you know we did a once-a-week newsletter that's free?
We have links to stories, videos, and podcasts that will help you get the most of your RV experience.
Yep. All you got to do is visit our website at StressLessCamping.com, and you can sign up there. It's completely free. And know that we will never share your information. We take it very seriously that you've entrusted us with it.
Yep. All we do is use that to send you one email per week, and that's it. You're not getting any more out of us than that.
Yeah, because we're too lazy.
And so also when you're at the website, StressLessCamping.com, you'll find the show notes. You'll find the shows.
Well,
you will find the shows.
The shows, too.
But you'll also find the notes of those shows. And this is episode number 255, right?
No, 256.
Oh, 256. This is episode number 256.
Yeah, we're progressing
That's
here.
right. And that'll be on the podcast page at StressLessCamping.com.
Yep. And did you know we also have discounts and deals for the best deals on the things you'll need for your Stressless camping adventure? And that is also at StressLessCamping.com.
And we're working with some new ideas. So
we are.
If you've looked before, look again.
Yep.
Keep looking. You might find something new. You never know.
You never know. And of course, you'll find us in all the social places as well. But it's a good place to start at StressLessCamping.com because you can then jump off to all the social places we are and share stuff from StressLessCamping.com.
Yes, please.
On those social
that is
places
so helpful
too.
to us. We really do mean that. And, if you don't want to miss a future episode of this very fine Stressless Camping RV podcast,
it is free.
It is free to subscribe on any podcast catcher, and we are saving you a seat around our virtual campfire.
Yep, and of course, don't forget that a review will help others find this podcast, and that helps us to share about the podcast with advertisers and all of that. And these podcast distributors, Apple and Spotify, they really do put value in the reviews, and we put value in the reviews. So Thank you for your reviews.
So if you want to write a review or share and you're not really sure how, there are instructions. We put them in the newsletter and we put them on the website because we want to make it as easy for you to help us.
Well, and it helps
as
you
easy
too,
as possible.
because then we get better guests.
Oh, I know. We want to help you help us. I knew there was something in there.
Oh, it's all about you.
It's all about
you.
It
really is. I mean, we're very careful who we choose. Who we will accept as advertisers.
Yes.
And who we talk to, because really our goal is to serve you as best as we can. It's like a old-fashioned fireproofing. We do asbestos
we can. Oh boy.
Oh man. Well,
and with that, have a great week and
Stressless camping.